Here we go with What's Up Wichita, the station that is often imitated but never duplicated. And today I have a very, very special guest, a young lady whose name is Carol Gist. And many of you probably either don't know her or have forgotten her. She was the very first African American to be titled Miss USA, and she was crowned in 1990 in Wichita, Kansas. So, Carol, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for taking the time to join me today. And I want you to start out by telling us a little bit about your school starting at intermediate, and were you at that time interested in being a model or competing in pageants?
Well, let's see. What was the first part of that question? Did you ask about my schooling?
Yeah, at your intermediate school, before high school.
Oh, yes. I went to several schools actually. I went to McFarland Elementary School in Detroit, Michigan, and then I went to St. John's Lutheran for a few years, and that's where I had an actual uh, come to the meeting and had a Jesus experience about the age of 12. And then I went to Lessinger Middle School, Bobian Junior High, and then finally Cass Tech High School. The renowned, the famous, the
Uh-huh.
ever popular and known Cass Technical High School. We've had several notables to graduate from that high school, and it was a pleasure and a blessing to be able to attend such a infamous or famous high school, and be counted among the many of the notable graduates. So I loved school. I did have my struggles with school, and I had my confidence issues growing up. I was always the tallest from kindergarten until the 10th grade, where I actually definitely was always the tallest girl. And I was the tallest until ninth grade. And then by 10th grade, there were boys that were taller than me. So I kept thinking in my mind, if I ever get married, I'm gonna have to marry a basketball player. um,
Were you
and
modeling? Were you doing any modeling at that age?
Yeah, well, 12 was a very profound age for me.
Mhm.
Again, I said I had my come to know Jesus in a more real way, even though I had grown up in church. I had a personal experience with him that literally shifted the way I looked at things and how I behaved and how I looked at life in general. And even before the saying was popular and coined as "what would Jesus do?" that is that was that moment that I had. And also at the age of 12, my mother um, wisely thought she would get me involved in something that would help me feel good about my height. And she let me enter a couple of different model searches, and I won a scholarship to Robert Powers Modeling School, and that is where I started first getting working as a model. I went through their program. I ended up teaching for them, and as well, I got most of my modeling work through John Robert Powers in the very beginning, and they kept me, pretty busy, and I was able to put away a nice little money. I was thinking I was saving for college, and I had an opportunity to even go to New York several times and modeled there. And I was also discovered, or I should say, Eileen Ford of Ford Models Agency saw me at a model search and wanted to take me under her wing and invited me to come and stay in New York with her. She had a home where anyone that was under 18, she had a few girls that were younger and that they would stay. We had chaperone, a chaperone was always there,
Sure.
kind of thing. But my mother said no. She thought that I would go and get addicted to drugs and mess up the rest of my life. So did not to go and get to be a protege of Eileen Ford. But modeling did do a lot for me, not only for my confidence and
Mhm.
feeling good about being tall after I got that very first check. I was like, hey, so I don't care if anybody teases me about being tall or
Yeah.
has their little names to call me, their negative names. I was like, that's okay. I'm okay. And I began to love a little bit more the skin that I was in, especially
Mhm.
it's hard when there's things about you that you can't change that people want to mock or tease
Right, right,
or highlight about you and you have no control over, like the color of your skin
right.
and the height that you are and the size of your feet and all of those
Mhm.
things. I can't change them. So learning to love who I was and how God made me, it was affirmed when I started getting a lot of modeling gigs and I was called on a lot to do different modeling jobs.
Sure.
And I modeled from 12 to 20 until I, won the Miss USA pageant. And then I um, had a different shift in life, and I didn't pick up the modeling again until about 35, actually. And I was like, okay, I'll just throw my hat back in the ring and see what I can, what I was thinking at this time, this old lady can get.
Well,
um,
well, well, Carol, I don't mean to stop you, but I want to go back a little bit because uh, before you won the Miss USA, or even before you entered the Miss USA, you had just won another pageant. Tell us what that was.
Miss Black World, Michigan.
Yes.
Yes, in fact, that was more of like to me, it was like a talent contest. I sang, I love singing and I love modeling and I danced for a number of years until, and I played sports and I danced until I had my dance teacher tell me I was going to have to make a choice because of my athletics. She said I was developing muscles unbecoming of a dancer. And now to see a lot of these dancers that are so muscular and
Mhm.
well defined, because it is almost a sport in of itself. It's a graceful sport, but dancers are athletes as well. And you've seen dance evolve with so many more, lifts and acrobatics and turns and things like that. That some strength and you're bound to see some definition and on the body. So it was just interesting to have been told I had to make a choice, and I made the choice to run track and continue playing volleyball because I thought that's how I could potentially pay for school was through a scholarship. And the modeling continued, and when I did turn 18, I did start doing auto show and but I was just looking for ways to always be able to pay for college. That was always in the back of my mind. Anything that I did, it was saving either to buy my car, which I was able to do, my first car, and or how I was going to pay for college because I knew my parents couldn't and
Sure.
weren't in a position to. And so traveling with the auto show and working with the auto shows helped me have extra reserve, but I was able to get a academic and athletic, partial academic and partial athletic scholarship. So I was able to graduate from Northwood University, which is a private university whose tuition was it's about normal for today, but back then when the state college was about 5,000, they were like 18. So it was really would have been out of the scope of me to attend there without the scholarship
Sure.
and still to graduate with, a 3.3, having worked 3 or 4 jobs during that time. I still, while I was there, I've never had only one job since
Yeah,
12. I've
okay.
always had multiple jobs. So my work ethic is very strong. But when I was, when you get to know other people that you're modeling with, you hear about different things and different about different contests or different things I could, potentially competing in to win. And I had heard of Miss Black World, the director of that pageant. She had been aware of me. I had modeled for her before for some different spring, summer shows and things like that. The first year that I went out for that, I got first runner up, and Kenya Moore won. And
Okay.
Kenya Moore was the second woman to be
Yes.
crowned USA of
Yes.
color,
Yes.
and second from Detroit. So,
Yeah.
the world was looking like what's in the water in
Yeah.
Detroit. Miss USA's happened to both be from Detroit, have gone to the same high school. We used to dance together in the same dance group growing up called the Detroit Rockettes. I
Okay.
used to braid her hair, and we didn't live like barely 2 miles away from each other. And we had a similar background, so we had kind of a kindred bond due to our life circumstances and
Right.
uh, ended up living with grandparents and things like that. So um, it was just ironic. I know when I ran into her, she says, "Oh, you beat me to it first. I wanted to be the first, Miss Shula." I said, "Well, you got to be the first Miss Black World. You beat me on that one." But
Yeah.
here she did crown me. So yes, I had won Miss Michigan USA. Unfortunately, there weren't enough states involved in it. They couldn't get enough support to actually have a Miss Black World at the time. So I didn't go anywhere with that. I did some local things, but so yeah, it didn't even dawn on me that I could or should not like attempt to try out for another pageant, because
Sure.
I didn't look at it, I didn't look at it the way that how young people, the new misses when they win, and then even since 2000, just social media, whole new, that was a total game changer. And so I didn't do really anything with my title. I made a few appearances, but it was I won the money and I put it on tuition or I did something like got oil change
Sure.
or tune up for my car. But I was still honored. I loved the young ladies that I was able to compete with, and it was nice. I think my first pageant experience was actually when I was 14. It was more of a debutante type of competitive modeling. And then I had a couple series of other modeling competitions that weren't pageants. They literally were modeling competitions when I was 16 as well. Won several little titles, Miss Junior Continent, and won first and second and third place at New York at the Waldorf Astoria, which was the international models uh, competition that was held there. And so I had confidence in being a model. Pageantry, and whether it was the America system or USA, either one of those were both foreign to me. Of course, I had watched Miss America on television before, and I would have loved to have, and I watched when Vanessa Williams won, and I would
Mhm.
have loved to have been able to go to Miss America, and potentially maybe sing.
Sure.
That would have been my talent. Um, However, I didn't, again, Michigan was not a big pageant state like the southern states and some other states. It wasn't a big pageant state. And it just happened that one of the young ladies that I had been modeling with over the years, we would run into each other on the auto show circuit. And she had went out for Miss Michigan USA. I watched the pageant that year. That was my first time ever watching Miss USA because I knew someone
Okay.
personally. I watched it. That was 1988, and she got Miss Congeniality. She came back all fired up. So the next time she saw me, she said, "Oh, Carol, you should go out for Miss Michigan USA. You would be great. You would do so well at Miss USA." And literally every time I saw her, that's what she would say. And like, "Did you apply? Did you go out for it? Did you do it?" And so in order to get her to stop asking me, I finally did in 1989. And their process was an interview process. You were interviewed to be considered a delegate for competition in the Miss Michigan pageant. I went through that process, was sent a letter of, I don't know how many weeks later, stating that I was selected and what the next steps were. I quickly just tossed it because it was like, I don't really want to do it. I just was, now I at least can tell her I tried, so
Sure.
she could stop asking me, literally, she could stop asking me had I gone out for it. Fast forward to a year later, um, because I did have academic and athletic scholarship, plus the multiple jobs that I had money in savings, but I was also told that I could withdraw from my scholarship fund, like it was a window, just like going to a bank teller. And I was like, what? I can?
Yeah.
I, why did they tell me that? I bought everybody in my family a Christmas. That was the first time and the last time I was ever able to buy everybody. And when I say everybody in my family, cousins, aunties, uncles, I gave family gift for like the auntie and uncle. So it was like I gave personalized, like a personalized door knocker with the peephole to go on their
Okay.
front door. Everyone either got Northwood sweatshirt, like Northwood grandma, Northwood brother, Northwood sister.
Mhm.
Everybody got a gift from me that year. And then I got a bill that said I was
Yeah.
short
Yeah.
for the next for the spring semester tuition. Now we're still in fall, winter, fall, but I got a bill already saying I was going to be short for spring. And so I had come home for the holiday break, which the pageant Michigan used to be held in November. And I had a letter waiting. Well, I went through all the mail that came to the house. And in that mail, I don't know how long it had been there, but I happened to open it up shortly after getting the bill from the school. And it said I was still eligible to compete as a delegate in Miss Michigan USA. And that was 1990. So I was ready or eligible to compete in 89, but did not do it until 90.
Okay.
So I it was a Wednesday or Tuesday late or Wednesday. It was Tuesday late, but it was Wednesday when I told my mom. And I said, I'm going to compete in Miss Michigan. And she said, when is it? I said, this weekend. Who does that? Who does that? Me. So I rushed around to find an interview suit. I knew because they gave you what you needed. I told, she quickly told family and friends, and we got a chain together and literally raised the entry fee because I didn't know, I think it was about $600 that I had to raise in order to enter. So called all uncles, aunties, cousins, and everybody chipped in 50, whatever they could, $50 here and there. And I got my $600. And I was able to get my suit and my swimsuit from a store I will not say the name of because I took the tags and I was going to return, but I didn't because I ended up winning. So I didn't return them. So
Okay.
I did keep them after I won. But I was planning on taking them back because I was thinking in my mind that, okay, I'll just place and
Mhm.
I will win enough. That's how little I knew about the USA system and the lack of pageantry support in the state of Michigan at that time. I said, I'll just like play second, third, I'm sure it's like $700. That'll cover my what I'm short for tuition. And then, after all of that in hindsight, what the family and friends raised for the entry fee,
Mhm.
I could put that on my tuition.
Yeah.
So I also saw the irony in the fact that I was able to raise in a few days $600, and I had just said, "Well, I need it for my tuition. Can y'all help me?" I don't know if they would have or would not have. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's get your, you do what you got to do. But for the pageant, they did. So everyone, and it was a great way to pull family together because people came out, and after I won Michigan and it was in the paper, they made plans to come. Some people came, who was able to come to Wichita, but they came out for sure to LA for Miss Universe. I had over 60 people in my family. They said at that time was the largest family support they had seen of any Miss USA in the past. That might have changed, but at that time they said, "Well, that was like a record." And
Sure.
so I'm just, I was grateful for the opportunity, but it was just, I
Yep.
felt like it was God ordained, even though it was last minute and I can laugh at it now. I said, everything fell together, seeing the tuition bill first, then seeing that, and then going ahead and doing it and having the attitude. I didn't have a coach or anything, just be you, Carol, have fun. And I was still true and authentic to myself. I was backstage helping other people, helping other young ladies with their makeup, helping them get dressed, brushing hair, trying to help them. And they're calling my number at the time, like, get in line, you're next to go out. And I was back there helping people. And the same thing happened at Miss USA. I was backstage helping people fix a zipper, brush a hair, loan a bobby pin or a safety pin, and they're calling Michigan. So I'm proud. I think most proud that I was able to win being me, and I wasn't overly coached or Miss Pageant Patty kind of thing. Was uh, me being me, and thankful that even God set my life up, that the classes that I was currently taking in school worked out for my betterment, to be knowledgeable about what was going on in the United States with current issues and finance and social issues and the Gulf War. And I had to read all about that. That was just like a part of my regular daily activities. And I walked on campus. I walked to wherever I had to go. Another funny story, because I had both partial scholarships. I did let go and walk away from the volleyball scholarship, and somehow I ended up being on the cheer squad, pom squad. Never been a cheerleader before, and then the captain. So I had plenty of natural activity that kept me physically fit. So I didn't have a trainer. I think the modeling had me with the walk. I will say that the state director, I had one weekend with the state director, and they worked on interviews with me. Just one weekend. That was all I had. And the rest, I guess, was just, God and my part of my personality, just who I am. I'm naturally friendly. I made that decision not to ever be in an awkward situation. And I remember when I did it, I was like you walking onto elevators, that awkward silence. I would say hey to everybody. Hi, hope everybody else having a great day. I just refuse to ever go into a situation nowadays and be that wallflower or, feel uncomfortable. And I would rather put other people at ease and have the intention of, if nothing else, share a smile and a kind word with someone, because you never know. That was a part of my mantra. You never know what that could do for someone else's life, and not to trivialize, smile, a kind word. And, I had the experience of someone coming back and actually telling me that, I was really contemplating suicide, and your kindness and what you speaking to me in that conversation changed everything for me. And I was just like, wow. And that just reiterated, I was like, God, thank you for using me as an instrument of your love in action. And just, whether it's returned or not, that's not my business. They could ignore me. They could, like, who you think you are? Why are you talking to me? I don't know you. They could have a bad attitude, but I won't let it change me. I'll still speak, and whether they receive it or not, that's on them. But I'm, that was always a part of who I was. And so I didn't have any negative pageant stories to tell. I got asked that a lot, and I'm like, backstabbing. I was like, no, because in my mind, that was just so far from who I am. I don't think I would have even have attracted that. If someone else was like that, I wasn't participating with them. So it would stop, it would have to end right there, because I had gotten so used to combating negative or unfriendly actions or words toward me with love.
So in other words, you set the tone for your personality and for your feelings about yourself, instead of letting someone else set the tone for your feelings. Now, let me ask you this. After you won the Miss Michigan, and then you heard you found out that the Miss USA was going to be held in Wichita, Kansas. Had you ever heard of Wichita, Kansas?
Yes, I had. Of course, who hadn't seen The Wizard of Oz?
Okay, okay.
I loved the watch. I would watch it every year, and it was in Kansas, and I'm thinking, I'm going to go where tornadoes take you to Oz. Um,
Well, have you
but
ever been to Wichita?
no, I not that I could have recalled the Kansas City.
Okay.
Kansas is probably closest that I had, or in Kansas City, Missouri, because I have family in Missouri, and but other than that, no, not even during the auto show had I been to the middle, the geographical center of the United States, which I thought was a cool thing to learn once we got there. But I was a part of one of the 8 delegates who were chosen to sing the theme song right in the middle. And I also got a chance to audition, even though people used to say, oh, well, Miss USAs are the ones with no talent and Miss America is the one with talent. I said, but um, we still auditioned for the USO tour, because at that time, Miss USA had been doing USO tours for a number of years. And so even if I hadn't won, my journey with the pageant would not have ended that night. I was also selected to be one of the, I think it was 8 or 9 of us that were on the USO tour. And that was a very meaningful and it's just an interesting thing, to go and see how and look at the perspective of not just men in the military, men and women in the military serving and doing their jobs, but we were in a Gulf War. And so trying, their time away from home and longing for home and missing things that just basic comforts, because they're roughing it. They're on the ships in these tight bunks, and or they're in the trenches, living in these tents, and it's dusty, and just life in and of itself was just not necessarily the best. And you're at war, so to be able to come and give them some joy with a comedy variety show and share some love and bring some joy into their lives. It was a true honor. And to see it from the other side, even knowing our history of, being the first, the irony and the context was not lost on me, even being the first Black woman to be a Miss USA and knowing the history of the military and Black Americans.
Now
And
let me ask you this. I had to cut you off, but did you have at the time you came to Wichita to compete in the Miss USA? Did you have any preconceived ideas or notions about Wichita?
yeah, I didn't think it was a whole lot of me there. Because listen, it was only 3 Black girls out of 51 in the pageant. I had met Miss DC, Miss Catherine, who wore a lot of extensions, and you know that was easy for her to maintain her hair extensions. Miss Tennessee, Miss Sharita, um, she had a slightly different texture
Mhm.
hair that was like show a little bit more of her Indian nature and Native American, I'm sorry. And she wore a slick bun. Pretty much that was it. I got there and I was natural hair and wondering if anybody would know how to do my hair, because I didn't know, they had a team of makeup stylists and hairstylists, and I did not know. I was like, I didn't think it was being right. I wasn't being funny. I wasn't trying to be prejudiced or anything. I just had never had anybody white or Caucasian do my hair, didn't know if they knew how to do Black hair that needed some high heat. And so when I saw that the whole Jose Gilbert, that stat, the team, everybody was white, European, I was like, y'all got anybody? Can y'all find somebody Black in Wichita that can do my hair? And so they did. I was thankful. I had the pageant. I will say, as just as a state delegate, I had 2 requests that they honored. And I from forever grateful and thankful that they honored it. And one of them was I needed a chiropractor as well, because I had been recently in a car accident that my life was almost lost. Literally, I was the car, a drunk driver that pushed me off. I was literally hanging off the edge of a bridge, and my body had gone in, or I should say, yeah, my body, the front end of the car had gone into my chest. I had a seatbelt burn going across my body. So I had to choose the one piece because it was just too much makeup, because I hadn't healed all the way. I still had scars and bruises from the car accident. And I was in a lot of pain and just whiplash. I don't know, the back. I was just in a lot of pain. And I had the massage therapist who had been working with me to try to get me out of pain in preparation for going to the pageant suggested I go see a chiropractor. So I had been under chiropractic care, and I was going like 3 times a week just to not be in tears and to walk. And so they found me a chiropractor. So I was glad and appreciative of that. And here I was. I hope they don't think I'm just being too demanding to ask for a Black hairstylist, somebody who knew how to work with Black hair. And the lady did my hair. I met her briefly. They let me go there. She put these rollers, and she says, "Okay, we're just going to leave the rollers in, and I'll come to the auditorium, the convention center, and I'll take it down and style your hair there." And I didn't think anything of it, because the other contestants, the other white girls, did the same thing. You know, they would leave the hotel with these big rollers in their hair, and we ride the bus to the convention center from the hotel. And then, they would take their big rollers down later when they got inside, to have their big hair. We were still in the big hair era in 90.
Mhm.
So I said, okay. When she got there and she took those rollers out of my hair, and I don't know, I don't know what I thought. I thought she was going to, try to take some heat and smooth and lengthen. I felt like I was Black Orphan Annie, from Annie with the curly crop when they got cut. And they had already done my makeup. I didn't want to cry and ruin that. I was in such distress. I was like, here I was thinking that, a Black person would know how to do my hair. And yeah, it was the first time she did my hair, so she didn't know how my hair how it would behave, and how well it hold it, So anyway, that turned out to be a disaster. Here I was feeling like, oh, what am I going to do? And here it was. So I walked by the little styling station, and he could tell I was trying to hold back the tears and not ruin my, the makeup. And
Right.
he said, "Come here, what's the problem?" I said, "My hair." I said, "I don't know what to do with it." And I was nice to the lady. I wasn't rude to her, but I was just devastated. And he said, I fix. He had a little accent. He just said, "I fix." So I sat down, and my heart is like, can you talk about stress and anxiety just building? Like, people were thinking you're nervous to go on TV. That was more nerve wracking, sitting here having to trust people with my hair, because that was such an identity, a thing that Black women
Right.
attach their identity. And,
Right.
good or bad, even that good hair, bad hair thing, which I always disliked. I'm just like, I still have to go out and put my best foot forward. And a part of that confidence is in feel like you're looking your best.
Sure.
And I've got to get over this. So he goes and starts spritzing my hair. I did say I had no perm, right? So what happens when you start spritzing? I'm like, "What are you spritzing?" I'm like, it was, I don't know, some water, because he couldn't do, it wasn't to hold, because he was trying to relax it. And I didn't know, and I didn't understand. And so he's spritzing, and I'm thinking my hair is about to frizz up. OMG, it's about to do something totally different. And then he pulls out this blow dryer that had this funky looking trumpet thing on the end of it that I now know is called a diffuser. I had never seen that. And he's spraying, and then he's pulling, and he's pulling, and he's like taking me away from an afro and giving me my length back. And to what you see when I won. So, and he gave us some shape, and literally, I think God orchestrated that, even in all of that, still trying to keep my calm, still trying to like believe that it's all going to work out. And I actually kind of loved my hair. It was perfect for the crown. It was a little nest for the crown to sit on, and it didn't fall off like so many young ladies who get crowned and the crown falls off on the floor. It was perfect. So it really, really worked out. That was not the hairstyle that I had intended, but I also didn't go out in the dress that I brought. So my family and directors all had a shock. They were like, okay, what's up with her hair and where did she get that dress from? So as much as a surprise as I had, they had surprise too when I came out, because the dress that we had, I was going to override my coach, even though they say you don't do that. He said, no one has ever won in a red dress, but red was my favorite color. And I believed strongly I looked good in red and I wanted a red dress. So even though they had made me a dress made for me, black with some silver, I did wear that for preliminary night, but that was supposed to be my final, for finals night. I saved and, fundraised, asked for, so sponsor support to get this Lily Rubin original. It was red with gold trim. I had to have the sleeves lengthened for my arms because it was a long sleeve gown. And I get out there in the opening number when we're singing right in the middle of Heartland, USA. And I look over and the judges are already sitting in the seats, and I go, the judge has on my dress. I'm trying to, I'm like, whoever was next to me, I think it was Miss Alabama, was like, the judge has on my dress. The judge has on my dress. I'll say the same color, everything. So it's one or two things, and all of that, I'm like, either she's gonna have, be like, no, she don't have on my dress, or she's got really good taste. I like her already. But my mind went, I don't want to chance it that it's the other way. So I ran backstage for the commercial break to the audience. They don't know, we haven't cut down yet to the top 16. We're just running back to get out of those cocktail dresses from the opening number. And I'm like, the judge has on my dress. I don't know what to do. And Sherry Hill, who was a young and up and coming gown designer. Everybody knows Sherry Hill now. It's a household name. Everybody's heard of Sherry, especially in the pageant world. She herself was there with a rack of gowns off to the side. And I said, I don't even think they allow that to happen nowadays. There's some designers who can come and be in the hotel and they can try to let the contestants see their wares, but I don't think they allow them backstage, not if they're not the gown sponsor for the pageant. And there wasn't a gown sponsor at that time. So the fact that she was backstage, I said, okay, that must have been God too, because that was just not precedent. And then she had like 5 gowns there and there. I happened to have tried on 2 when my roommate had requested for Sherry Hill to come. She had an appointment with Sherry Hill to try on some dresses, and I was confused. She showed me her 2 dresses, which were gorgeous, and I thought, oh my, she got the bomb dresses. I would be proud to wear those dresses, and she still wanted to look. I was just in shock. So anyway, she was late and I was there. So while she said, do you mind if I wait? I said, I don't mind. Do you mind if I try on one of them? And I tried on 2. And I was like, oh, wow, it's so pretty. It doesn't fit really well, but it's so pretty. And this one, oh man, I'm so tall. This one, it's not tall enough. So just the fact that I had tried on the 2, that had to be God too. So as soon as I'm running backstage, fast forward to, several days, a week later, literally, and I'm backstage and she's got 2 of the 2 gowns that are on that rack that I did try on. And I said, she says, well, just get one. I said, I don't have any money to pay for your dress. She said, I know, just pick the one that you like the best. And I had to remember it. If I hadn't tried on, I wouldn't have known, because the one was like, it it was, you know, supposed to be to the floor, and you know it's supposed to be the floor, and it wasn't on me. And if I with my heels, it would have looked even higher. So the other one had you know, a scalloped edge, and then the train around the side. I said, oh, I can work that one. Only thing with that was I was too small up top. I didn't fill it out. So I picked that one because at least I knew it would work with my shoes, it would work with the jewelry I had. And they scrounged around. And again, in the 90s, this was an era of shoulder pads. Um, People took their shoulder pads. I don't even know who the people to thank to this day, how they were able to come up with two sets of shoulder pads. Literally, I had two on each side to fill the top of this dress,
Mhm.
and duct tape. So that I could fill out the dress. And so when I came out, I mean, it was all good. And the dress was perfect. It couldn't have been any more perfect for coming down the stairs with. And I'm so grateful. And of course, I got to keep it. But that black and fuchsia dress, that was, I just think I laugh every time I think about it, how God literally orchestrated that, and that everything that looked like it was an obstacle, it was only the enemy trying to get my attitude and my focus off, because he it was ordained. I believe, like, is any one of those women was capable and beautiful, intelligent and talented enough to win. But I felt like God, because of where I was in my life and what I needed, like he literally said, daughter, you are special, and I'm gonna let you know just how special you are. And I believe he let me win that pageant to show me that I was that special. Because I went, you know, a lot of, no matter amount of accomplishments I made, doing well athletically, doing well with my grades, and all of that, I always still had this drive to be accepted, and accepted by my father and accepted by family. As much as I love family, and to see people come together, it was a hard time because I was born out of wedlock, and there was the whole black sheep thing, and you know, the dark stain on the family, because that just wasn't that wasn't accepted. And you know, all the trials that my mom went through, and just having me, but feeling it, feeling like I wasn't wanted, feeling it. And people say that was just, you perceive that wasn't real. We loved you. They will tell me that to this day, but I could feel like you were ashamed, you were embarrassed that I existed. You know, I had no choice over that, that being here, but I felt that a majority of my life. And so I remember after being crowned and thanking God, literally, they were trying to put the thing on me. I'm trying to raise my hand and praise God, say, thank you. The next thought I had in my mind was, maybe they'll love me. Maybe they'll accept me. Maybe I'll be good enough now. And so I still, even with modeling and traveling and doing the things that it could bring me joy, there was still that hole inside, that place that hadn't been healed, that still kind of had a scab on it in terms of wanting to be accepted as I was, for who I was, and not a black mark on the family, you know. And
So
so
you basically had something to prove, and
well, at least I felt like I did.
this. Let me just ask you this: would you say that winning this crown, Miss USA, was that what you would say, for lack of a better term, put you on the map?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, millions of people saw it on TV. And even though social media wasn't there, World Wide Web didn't come out to 95. So you didn't have the instant, somewhat notoriety that could go, uh, I mean, what happens now for the new winners with the social media is amazing. How fast and how many followers, and how worldwide they'll be known. That wasn't my story. However, I believe that had I kept on the modeling track, that God still would have found a way, another way even, of quote unquote putting me on the map. Because I was on my way back to New York. I was gonna go talk to Miss Eileen Ford myself.
Well,
I'm 18 now. I'm 18 now. My mother can't stop me.
yeah, but here's the thing. After you won the Miss USA, it's my understanding you went on to win first runner-up to Mrs. Norway.
Yeah.
And where was that pageant held at?
Where was that was held? It's supposed to be in Sri Lanka, and I was so excited to, I got my passport, and I was so excited to be able to have my first stamp and going out of the country besides Canada. Because growing up in Detroit, I could go to Canada all the time.
Sure.
Yeah, I had been to another country before. I had been to the Bahamas, but now I'm like, wow, I'm about to travel. So I was so excited to go to Sri Lanka, and at the last minute, because it was, I won in March and the Miss Universe pageant was scheduled for May. And someone just didn't do due diligence to recognize that they were making plans, which turned out to be a Holy Week or something in Sri Lanka, and they weren't going to have or allowed to go live or have the union workers that would work at the TV station and all that kind of stuff, whatever they needed for that from the Sri Lankan people, they weren't going to have. So they went to their backyard.
Okay.
Basically at that time, LA was home for Miss USA. Was owned by Madison Square Gardens and CBS at the time. So CBS, headquarters in LA. The apartment they had for me to stay in was in, first it was in Beverly Hills, and then they moved myself and Miss Universe to Westwood, California, which is a little bit closer to UCLA. Probably was cheaper, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Than Beverly Hills. Yeah, I was really disappointed because, not only is that home for the pageant, it was like, I've been to LA a lot. I mean, I had family in LA, so I was like, California, I traveled there a lot, and so I was like, man, I'm not going to Sri Lanka, and it's gonna be in Los Angeles, someplace I've been. So I was really, really bummed. But I guess another way to look at it was that over 60 people in my family were able to come to LA, who of course might not have been able to come, definitely would have been able to come to Thailand, to Sri Lanka. So, it is what it is. I wish I could have. Mona's story was similar to my story. The fact that I lost by 1/100th of a point still aches a little bit. Had I given my answer that my first gut reaction answer, I believe I would have won. The judges afterward at the coronation party were like, they act like they were mad at me, like, why did you answer that like that? We did not expect that from you, and all this other things, because they literally said they had chosen me as the winner. If they had to do a rank, I was their Miss Universe. And I recognized saying the safe answer and second guessing myself cost me the win. And though many people wanted to say it was racism and other things, even though there was a particular judge who was very racist, admittedly so. And she didn't make no bones about it either. It kind of broke my heart because I used to like watching her on TV. And then I was like, oh, she's that way? Okay. So even despite knowing there was one kind of racist judge on the panel, that the rest would have voted me in order rank, though it made my heart feel kind of good, it made me feel worse that I second guessed myself had I answered my answer, which is how pretty much what they thought I would have said based on everything up to that point. I would have been Miss Universe, and it wasn't racially motivated. It was I always say, and that's something I have to live with. That was my first life lesson, I guess, in leading and leaning into Holy Spirit and following you know, that what most people want to say is their gut instinct. To me, I believe is Holy Spirit when he's like, and that's what I should have done. And I had this really quick conversation in my head. I said, I can't say that. And I went for the safe answer, which coincidentally was the exact same answer Mona gave. So we both gave the same answer. And that's why I believe it was so close. Because literally, if I had answered the way I was supposed to, I would have won, and I would have won by more than a hundredth of a point. It would have been several points. So, you know, that I can't change it. I just can learn from it. And I enjoyed my year as Miss USA and the lives that I was able to impact, and still getting little notes and people finding me on Facebook even 30 years later saying, I don't know if you remember taking a picture with me on what you said to me, but that, you know, how that resonated with me. And that gave me courage, and that gave me hope, or that gave me the inspiration to continue with gymnastics or to do well in school, because you told me to do well in school. And I was like, okay, I know whatever parent was happy that sometimes, you know, when your parents tell you to do something and then somebody else can tell you, you're like, well, what am I? But you're grateful that they got it from whoever they got it from. So I was grateful to be an instrument of use to inspire, to motivate, to encourage, and even to bring joy, even for a moment. We worked with, you know, the Children's Miracle Network, Boys and Girls Club of America was my charity of choice, even though that was part of their partner. At Risk Youth was my platform. I didn't even know I had a platform, but At Risk Youth was it, because could have been considered one of those. And all it takes is one good person, guiding person in authority, to literally turn your mindset around, turn it around and stop looking at life like, why me? And you know, it's not fair, and life owes me, or somebody owes me, and this and that, and my mother didn't, and my mother and my father and whatever. I don't care. It didn't matter. It's you and the choices you make. It's how you respond to what has happened to you was a part of my message, and like talking to youth in detention centers and at the Boys and Girls Clubs. And but going to the hospitals with the Children Miracles Network, that was hard. And I used to think, what could I do that would make a difference? What could I do that would, you know, what do you say to a child who's struggling with a terminal illness, or, you know, in pain from, you know, going through treatments for leukemia and things like that. And that was really, really hard. I would leave them in the very beginning, just like in tears, like, why was I even there? What good could I do? And it was one little girl that the Lord, I think, used to give me that meaning and that answer. I came into her room, and to me, it looked like she just perked up. You know, she had been laying there, and then she saw me, her eyes got big, she sat up, and she smiled, and we shared some stories. She talked to me. I gave her a stuffed animal. I put laid my sash across her. We took pictures, and the crown, and everything. And I just told her, you know, I'm praying for you, and that you will that you'll be strong through this process, and that you'll get healed, and you'll come out of this, and that your pain will be eased. And when I left, the mother ran out and ran down the hall and kind of caught us. And she said, can I hug you? And she went to go hug me. I said, oh, of course. I said, of course. And she says, she hasn't talked, she hasn't sat up, and she hasn't, you know, just thank you. I mean, she loves watching the pageants. She's, you know, if she makes it through this, and I was like, just telling the mother to stay positive. She said, if she makes it through this, I know she'll want to compete one day. But that little girl and that mother's reaction is what turned it around for me, to help me know that even that visit, and then it was a nurse who further made the point. She said, sometimes a little bit of laughter and joy is stronger than the strongest pain medicine that they can give them, and it will last longer. And she says, so what you did for that little girl can help anesthetize the pain for hours, you know. And I was just like blown away, never having known the science or knowing that now I understand why they have clowns and the
Yeah,
dog,
yeah,
the
right.
comedy and different things. And then learning that Bible verse, like, understanding that laughter does the heart good like medicine. So bringing some joy and some laughter to any of those children in the hospital. I no longer question, what am I doing here? I knew it had a purpose, and I took it with a total different mindset after that experience. So I was thankful to God, because I asked him, I said, I need you to show me how I make a difference in going and doing these, at the detention centers and at the Boys and Girls Club. Yeah, I know what I'm doing there. I know I'm trying to encourage, but at the hospital, how do I make a difference? How does that help anybody? So that was probably a couple of my more memorable moments in terms of having really pivotal appreciation for the position as Miss USA, and very humbled at the same time.
Miss Carol Gist, I want to ask you something. You were crowned in Wichita, Kansas, on March the 2nd, I believe it was,
Yes.
1992.
Yes.
Have you been back to Wichita since then?
No, I have not.
Have
No,
you ever?
yeah. Well, yeah, I did the next year to give up the crown, but after that, no.
Oh, okay. Have you ever been invited back?
Well, actually, I take that back. My mother helped me drive my car back from California, and we stopped in Kansas, because we had met a family. In fact, it was a different hairdresser who did my hair nicer.
Okay.
We stopped to visit with them in Wichita, Kansas, and that was in 92, I believe. So yeah, I've been there 3 times total.
Okay. Well, listen, don't be a stranger. We're still here, and there's a lot of people that look like you here in Wichita, believe it or not.
I know now. I mean, I've heard of, just all the stories and the history. And I mean, I've been, I'm amazed and at the same time, sometimes angered that a lot of that history was left out of our American history
Yes.
books,
Yes.
which is so unfortunate, to know things that happened not only in Wichita, but in Oklahoma, and
Yes.
where you had, you know, great examples of strong Black
Yes.
communities that were wealthy and self-sufficient, and why that was hidden or taken away from us to know,
Yeah.
unless we did independent study and more
Yeah.
people shared the stories. But the fact that it's not in any of the textbooks that everyone should know, is a part of American history, not just Black
Absolutely.
history. That's American history, and the truth should be told.
Yeah.
Just
Absolutely.
kind of infuriates you, because you have to think about who are the ones putting the textbooks together, and who are the ones putting this information in here to disseminate to children, and telling not the whole truth, and telling
That's
a
right.
version that makes them look good, I guess.
Cherry picking is what they've been
Cherry
doing.
picking, yeah, you
You
would call it
know.
that.
Listen, Carol, it's been a pleasure. You know the old saying, time flies when you're having fun. And and it's been a real pleasure having you here to share your story with us. And I want to invite you back another time to talk about what you're doing today, because you are a health and wellness and fitness coach at Wayne State University. Is that correct?
Yes.
And how long have you been doing that?
Since 2006, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to have you back sometimes in the future, and we'll talk about that part of Carol Geist. Okay, Carol
My
Geist.
pleasure, Mr. Barfield.
I'm sorry.
I said my pleasure, Mr. Barfield.
Okay. Well, listen, it's been a great pleasure having you here, and thank you so much for spending your Sunday afternoon with us here. And we'll get together again, I promise.
All right.
All right.
Good day, Wichita.
What's up, Wichita? That's us.
What's up, Wichita?
All right. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Program is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association.